Have you ever looked at a community group and wondered, what's the real secret to its success? I mean, the ones that last for years and years. It's usually not the initial funding, or even the cool projects they start with. It's something much deeper, something foundational that honestly gets overlooked way too often. So today, we're going to uncover that secret.
I mean, really think about it. What's the one thing that separates a group that thrives from one that just fizzles out the second the outside support is gone? Well, the answer is all about how that group is built right from the very beginning. So let's dive in and figure out what that crucial building block really is.
Okay, so to get the full picture, we need to understand the whole journey of what's called a farmer field school, or FFS. You can think of it in 4 main phases. First, you've got groundworking. That's all the prep and assessment. Then comes group formalization, and that's all about setting up the rules of the game. Phase 3 is learning, where all the hands-on fieldwork happens. And finally, you have the follow-up, which is about making sure the group succeeds in the long run, things like making money and getting products to market.
Now look, every one of these phases is important for sure, but one of them is the absolute bedrock. It's the foundation that determines whether everything else built on top of it will actually stand the test of time. And here's the kicker. That exact same phase, the bedrock, is the one that people are most tempted to rush. They want to skip right past it to get to what they see as the real work in the learning phase. And let me tell you, that is a massive mistake.
So let's put a spotlight right where it needs to be on Phase 2, Group Formalization. We're calling it the forgotten foundation for a reason, because without it, you're building everything else on seriously shaky ground.
You know, this source material for this explainer says it perfectly. A farmer field school is not a club with loose rules. And that just cuts right to the heart of it, doesn't it? This is a serious venture that needs real structure, shared goals, and super clear rules. It's way more than just a casual get-together. Which, of course, brings up the big question. So what? Why go through all the trouble of creating documents and setting rules? What makes this formal process so absolutely critical? Let's break it down.
Well, there are a bunch of vital reasons. For starters, it protects the most vulnerable members, making sure everyone gets a voice. It also gives the group a clear playbook for how to handle disagreements, because, let's be honest, they will happen. And maybe most importantly, this is what prepares the group to run itself long after the facilitator is gone. It establishes those shared goals, and of course, it's the first step to getting things like legal recognition or opening a group bank account.
So, we've talked about the benefits, but what happens if you skip it? Well, then you are quite literally building on sand. Let's talk about the risks.
Look, it's a story we've seen play out time and time again. When you build a house without a foundation, it's not a matter of if it will crumble, but when. Small disagreements blow up into huge fights, money or resources get mismanaged, and eventually, the whole thing just collapses. Taking that shortcut early on will cost you everything down the road.
Okay, so we're all clear on why this is so important. Let's shift gears now and talk about the how. What are the actual tangible things a group needs to create during this phase? What are those essential building blocks for a strong foundation?
It really boils down to 5 clear, actionable steps. You start by developing a constitution. Then you create specific bylaws and learning norms. And we'll get to the difference in just a sec. Once you have those rules, the group elects its own leadership. See how that flows? Those first 3 steps are what make it possible to then go get officially registered and finally open a group bank account. It's not some abstract idea, it's a concrete plan.
Now, a lot of people get constitution and bylaws mixed up, but it's actually pretty simple. Just think of it like this. The Constitution is the why. It's the big picture principles and values of the group. The bylaws are the how. They're the specific day-to-day rules you follow to live up to those values. So your Constitution might say, we value financial transparency, while the bylaw gets specific. Any withdrawal from the bank requires 3 signatures. See the difference?
And listen, this next point is absolutely crucial. I mean, non-negotiable. These documents can't just be templates that you hand out. They have to be created by the members, for the members, in a language that everyone actually understands. That's how you get real ownership. When people build the rules themselves, they're a whole lot more likely to follow them. Beyond the formal stuff, groups also need to set their own learning norms. These are basically the rules of engagement for how they'll interact. And this is where a group's unique personality can really come out. For example, maybe latecomers have to pay a tiny fine, or do a silly dance. Or, to make sure one person doesn't dominate the conversation, they use a talking token. You can only speak if you're holding it.
These little rules, decided by the group, are what make the whole experience fair and productive for everyone involved.
So, we've gone through the why, the risks, and the how. After all that, what is the single most important idea you should walk away with? Let's boil it all down. And here it is. Group formalization is not about creating red tape or useless bureaucracy. It's the very act of building the internal strength, the structure, the shared understanding that allows the group to finally and truly stand on its own 2 feet.
And that just leaves us with one last question to chew on, something for you to think about with your own groups. Are you just putting up walls, or are you taking the time to build a foundation? Is your group's foundation really built to last?